Hey, everybody, and good day to you. You can see I'm with a special guest here. Christy, you want to say hi? I'm going to give her a proper introduction in a moment.
Hi, everyone.
All right.
Hi,
All right.
Steve.
Christy's, good morning to you, Christy. And Christy's coming to you live from her home down in, I think it's in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I'm in Boulder, Colorado. So we're starting just a few minutes late. When you do a live program like this, boy, you take some risks. And good thing Jim Gray with me has got the courage to want to do live programs. It's a little more challenging. So big shout out to all of Christy Whitman's friends, the council, Humanities Stream Plus members. We're in the green room actually with them. Humanities team members, John Raymer and the Sign Network. So shout out to all of you. Thanks for being with us when it's Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. Guess what? It's Humanities Team Live Time. So here we are. Our theme today is the principle of loving. And we're going to tie that actually into how we live our life, into every part of our life, the principle of loving. So I think you're going to really enjoy this program. Let me give Christy a proper introduction. Christy Whitman is a spiritual channel, law of attraction life coach, transformational leader, and two-time New York Times best-selling author. Christy is also the CEO and founder of the Quantum Success Coaching Academy and has helped thousands of people from around the world to achieve their goals through empowerment seminars, speeches, coaching sessions, and products. Christy channeled her first book on the 7 principles of the law of attraction through a series of spiritual downloads that completely changed her life. Since then, she has developed a powerful relationship with a group of spiritual mentors that she channels called the Council. Today we'll be discussing the incredible lessons that the Council has been sharing through Christy and the principle of loving and creating a conscious planet. So again, real excited to be here with Christy, and welcome again to the program, Christy. Great to be with you.
Thank you so much. So excited.
All right. So, boy, we were talking, as we came into the program just about our lives before. We've done a few programs together, so I know a little bit about Christy's life and where she was sort of mainstream coming out of college and doing marketing work, and me, same thing, mainstream coming out of college, joining IBM, selling mainframes, and boy, have we done the U-turn. So we're going to talk about it. And Christy, you were sharing that a lot of times the way you're framing this is around the divine design. So can you just talk a little bit about that and how that works?
Yeah, so when I started full-on channeling or, receiving messages directly first person from the council started talking about how each person has our divine design. Just like we know we're human because we have one nose, none of us has 3 noses. We have 2 ears, 1 mouth. We don't have beaks or tails or wings or anything like that. We know that this is a human, that's a dog, that's a tree. And the reason is because we're designed that way, right? There's a blueprint for each human being. And just like what we can see with our physical senses to say, oh yeah, that's true. There's 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 nose, 1 heart. Well, there's a spiritual blueprint as well. And we're spiritually blueprinted to have everything that we need for this journey of being a human being. And that includes wholeness and well-being. So our bodies are naturally designed to be in well-being. That's why, when we get sick, we snot and, cough and all that kind of stuff, sneeze, because it's a way of the body expelling the poisons or the toxins or, the bacteria or the virus, whatever it is, from our physical bodies. And we can obviously be in alignment with that well-being to return back to our natural state of health. And beyond that, though, what we a lot of times don't see beyond the physical is that we are divinely designed also to be abundant. Our physical bodies are evidence of abundance, all the abundance of cells that we have, all the abundance of times that we take a breath, all the abundance of hearts, our heart beating, the pulses that happen in our body, the thoughts, all of that. It's all evidence that we are made up from this experience, from this blueprint of abundance. And if you even look out into our physical environment, whether it's nature, can't count how many ounces of water are in an ocean, or how many stars are in the sky, or how many blades of grass are in a lawn. It's just abundant. So there's that. And then the other aspects are we're divinely designed to have success, to be successful, to experience success, and also to have loving and supportive relationships. Going along with the theme for today is the principle of loving, is that we are channels of love and we are containers of love. And so what happens to someone when they're out of their alignment with this divine design is they feel bad. They're in lack. That's where all the negative, lower level emotions come from. Because when we are in alignment with our divine design, again, well-being, abundance, success, and loving and supportive relationships, we feel good.
Yeah, boy, makes so much sense. And of course, out in the world where all of this stuff is going on, it's just like this coal thing on an individual level. Boy, maybe on the collective level, everything isn't right. Maybe we're not living in our divine design, right? And it's as simple and as complex as that. It's just, if we can just get into that place of divine design or aligning with the divine, it's just amazing how all of these things fall into place. It's not like it's heavy lifting, is it, Christy?
No, I mean, the thing is that how you just said, how do we get back into our divine design? It's our consciousness. And what is our consciousness really? It's what we think, it's what we say, what we feel, what we perceive or believe, and then what we do. Because we don't have control over what the government's going to do, or what this is going to do, or what our next door neighbor is going to do. But we have influence in how we perceive those things, what we focus on. And when we are understanding that our consciousness is what creates our own personal reality, and then creates a huge tidal wave of the energy that we give out, that affects the people that we're around. It affects the neighborhood we're in. The council even says that one person doing light work literally affects millions who are not. So millions of people that are in despair and stuck in lower level emotions, as one person is committed to light and is committed to thinking light thoughts, or thinking, like we just said, alignment with well-being or abundance or success or love, that gives us off a more positive effect than those that aren't there. And so we're literally changing not just ourselves. I know I came into doing this because I was tired of being who I was, and I found meditation and I found light work and energy work because I was tired of struggling, and I was tired of pushing against. I was tired of feeling bad. So I started doing it for myself. But what I didn't realize, and I now know 28 something years later, is that when I am choosing abundance in my thought versus lack, that affects everybody. I mean, I'm a mom of two, I have a husband, I have a dog, it affects the environment in my home, but it also is a huge ripple effect into my neighborhood, into my city, my state, into the world. And so for each one of us to take responsibility for our own consciousness and understand, am I in lack because I feel bad? Or do I feel good, meaning I'm aligned? That makes a huge, profound difference.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. And gosh, once there's this old groove of kind of American dream and sort of mental, emotional, hit the accelerator to get that top line growth, et cetera. And then there's this new dream which is around this divine design of just kind of how we're made, what the true invitation in life is. And boy, once we fall into this groove that you're describing so beautifully, it's effortless and it's fruitful, and and what true prosperity is, we feel into it. And of course, it includes a financial component. By the way, we're going to talk here in a moment about these programs that Christy has placed on the Humanity Stream Plus platform, including one around finances, around financial wealth. So, because this does apply to all parts of our life. But Christy, so the theme here is the principle of loving, because that's actually in the center of all of this, right? Do you want to just say You've done a beautiful job of kind of looking where we're looking at the entire sphere of what this is. The principle of loving. Why is that so essential?
Well, it's one of the highest, I mean, it is the highest vibration. Love is the highest vibration in the universe. It's where at the fourth dimension and above, that's where our soul, our divine self lives. It doesn't know anything but love. I mean, imagine if you knew nothing else but love and the energy of love. That's where that divine part of us, the life part of us, that's where it lives. And it feels good. It's a manifesting, it's a creative ray of light, if you will. And so there's the principle of loving. The council talks about it in the Desire Factor, our latest book. It's literally the fifth principle in there. And all of them are important, but it's like when you are loving what you are thinking, what you are doing, how you're relating, when you're looking through the perspective, the consciousness of love, and you're speaking with love, you're exchanging the energy of love, because it's law of attraction, all things in love come back to you. We have to remember that, I mean, everything, and I know people have probably heard this ad nauseum, especially anybody that's in this community, everything's energy, right? Well, yeah, everything's energy. But what does that really mean from a practical standpoint? That energy is what creates and forms everything in our physical reality, whether it's a connection in a relationship or money in our banks or the career successes we have, or even the health or well-being that we have in our physical bodies. Love is that connector between physical and non-physical. And when we are connected to that energy of love, we're connected to the divine that's within us. We're connected to the soul within us. And so that's a part of alignment that's absolutely essential. And love is very different than how most of us have learned what love is. Things in the 3D environment are very conditional, right? It's like if even just think about how the way we interact, talk about money, right? If I want to go buy an apple from the store, it's exchangeable. It's like a transaction, right? I'll give you the couple of dollars, you give me the apples so that I can eat. If I want a roof over my head, I got to pay someone for that mortgage. There's an exchange happening. It's very conditional. You get to have this if you give me this. And we somehow brought that as a human race into our relationships. If you act like this, then I will approve of you. Then I will give you love. If you would just be different and do this different, do the dishes, put the toilet seat down, whatever it is, whatever those conditions are, get an A on your report card, don't do this, do this. It's very transactional. It's very conditional. And that's how we think of love, but it's not like that at all. Love is freely given. It's like the concept, if you will, of the divine. It's all knowing. It's all providing. It's always there. It's never. We don't have to beg, borrow, or steal to get it. It's always there for us in an abundant supply. But it's us as a human being that needs to connect with it, and that needs to align with it. As the council says in a course that we teach called Quantum Energy Mastery, we are energy receivers. We are the physical human being, and we are energy receivers. And we're receiving energy all the time. If you go into a grocery store, and especially empaths, I'm an empath myself, but I've learned how to be able to be the influencer instead of being influenced by the energy. I could go into a store and feel what everybody's feeling and going, none of this is mine, right? Because we're picking up energy all the time. If we are deliberately aligning with love and filling ourselves up with love, then if we're full and in our fullness, we're not picking up on the lower level energies because we are energy receivers, we're energy containers. So if we're not filling up deliberately with that energy of love, that higher vibration, we're going to pick up on all of the fears, the worries from our physical environment. So we're energy receivers, we're energy containers, and then we're energy transmitters. That's what I've been teaching for about 20 years now is law of attraction, universal laws. What we send out comes back. Well, what we send out is what's in our consciousness. The very words that we say, the very thoughts that we think, the emotions that we feel or don't feel, the perspectives that we have, and of course, any action, any behavior, habit, those kind of things. These are what we influence in our consciousness. So if we are energy receivers and we're tuning in with the highest vibration of love, we're bringing in, allowing ourselves just even with an intention. Everybody can do this right now. I just intend to connect and bring in the energy of love. And it's like, imagine all of your cells are turning upward to just receive in this light, this love. Sometimes we have to say different words to, get over someone's condition. Instead of God, we say divine. Instead of love, we say light. Bring in that light into your own container and literally feel yourself filling up with love, with light. And then what happens is the energy underneath creates the thought forms. So now you're starting to think thoughts of love. You're starting to speak words that feel good. And those little arrows that go, those little boomerangs that go out, they then bring more situations, people, circumstance, experiences that match that level of vibration. Everything is energy, and every piece of energy creates that field of energy, creates the forms that we attract.
Yeah, boy, I love the just layer upon layer upon layer of wisdom, in terms of how you vocalize or articulate what all of this is and how it works, Christy. And I know the council, you'd probably give the council a lot of credit, who you're a team. But
100%.
It's beautiful. I mean, it just really, there's a level of articulation here that, boy, try and poke holes in this, will you? And you don't want to, don't. Instead, just go in the direction of, okay, wow, got it. Let me just really sort of absorb how this works, because you're articulating just, for me, it's exactly kind of what it is and how it works. It's so clear, the way that you bring it through. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Let me take this opportunity to share now. Christy Whitman with Deborah Poneman, who's also a dear friend of Humanities Team, they created a masterclass unique to. They've never done as far as I know, a masterclass together. It's called A New Kind of Power: Align with Your Highest Truth to Live a Life of Effortless Flow and Profoundly Impact the World, and I might add, your life, as Christy's sharing here. So, A New Kind of Power. It's on the Humanities Stream Plus platform, and I invite you to check it out. So there are 8 modules that are Christy's, 8 that are Deborah Poneman, and they step through the whole thing from the very beginning process of alignment, which is so crucial, as Christy's pointing out, all the way to mastery at the end. These last module of Christy's is on mastery, of how you really just, the whole symphony is working. So invite you to check that out on the Humanities Stream Plus platform. Christy has, I'm just checking here, she has 14 programs on the Humanities Stream Plus platform. So one of the other programs, I know, thank you for that, Christy. She put one of her other programs on money, so on the platform, and invite you to check that out. It's called Creating Money. So when we're conscious and we talk about prosperity, of course, just as Christy's sharing, there's so many dimensions. She's bringing in family and just living in a loving place and feeling into this this peace that is beyond understanding. But it has a financial component too. She's saying we're meant to live abundantly. Do you want to just talk for a minute about that also here, Christy?
Absolutely. So if we're coming from the premise that everything is energy, and it is, right? So money is just green energy. It's something that we have long before you and I were around, Steve. Someone said, we're not going to exchange a pig for a duck anymore. We're going to use this thing called currency. We're going to take this thing called money in coins, dollars, however that looks like in whatever part of the world. And so, that became all of a sudden people interpreted and became in the Bible, it's the love of money that's the root of all evil. Well, before that, it was guilt is the root of all evil. And somehow that got interpreted and then got into religions that we should not want money, or that we shouldn't love money or even appreciate money. And so I find, for years being a spiritual person myself, that split between even how I was raised. My mom, found that people that were successful and had money, she had a little saying, she still does, oh, they had buku bucks, right? They're like, ooh, holier than thou, because they were successful and made money. And my mom, God love her, very shallow person. There's not much depth. She swims in the shallow end a lot. It's always about what someone does and how much money they have and that sort of thing, which repulsed me even as a small kid. And then my dad, on the other hand, had the exact opposite. He would be very negative and very judgmental and very critical of people that had money. And so they would have these friends, and I would hear these conversations. I got imprinted as a young kid. Do I get money or do I not get money? Because if I have a lot of money, mom will be happy. She'll accept me. She'll think I'm great. If I have a lot of money, dad will not think I'm great. I'll be criticized. I don't want to be one of those people that so as a small child, this isn't logical at all. But I found myself in my own relationship with money, making it and then getting rid of it. So no matter how much money I made, I would find myself in debt. I'd earn it, but then I would find so many different ways of getting rid of it, until I came to an understanding that I had split energy on this very important resource. Again, it's like my example. If I want to eat today, I need to exchange that money for something of value, like an apple, like a chicken salad, whatever it may be, to provide a roof over my head for my kids, to send them to a really good college, to any of these things. It requires this exchange of value. So as long as I'm doing something of value, I am creating an abundance exchange between myself and another person, whether it's a client or a company or whatever it is, so that I then receive an abundance exchange, so that I can then take that abundance exchange and feed my kids and clothe my kids and clothe myself and live in the house I want to live in and drive the car I want to drive, build the business I want to build. It's all an energy exchange. If we're coming from a place of, oh, money's not good and I can't appreciate money, or that I'm afraid of money, I'm afraid I'm not going to have enough money, now we're not in an exchange. It's a very bumpy, very resistant based exchange going on with money. And here's the thing. Money doesn't have an opinion. Money has no programming or imprints of its own. Money doesn't go, I really like Steve, so I'm going to go play with Steve and I'm going to shower money on Steve. But Christy, she's kind of a little, we don't like her as much, so we're not going to go to her. Money isn't like another human being. And so when we can get in alignment, we can take those parts of us that are split, like I did with my mom and dad, right? My mom's thing about money and my dad's thing about money became my thing about money, until I consciously said, wait a minute, I have my own relationship with money. What relationship do I want to create with my own money? I want to appreciate my money. Why do I even want money? What's the reason why anybody wants it? Well, I want to feel free to choose what I want to eat and where I want to live and where I want to drive and what I want to wear. And, there's freedom there. There's security in knowing that, hey, if I have enough of it, I can give my kids a meal tonight, right? Or tomorrow, or for the next 10 years. There's an abundance exchange, but it's all about the energy. All relationships start inside of us, and especially with money. And when we feel good about having the security or having the freedom or having the adventure or the excitement or the abundance or whatever that thing called money that feeling sense you want is going to give you, when we can feel that and connect with that now and let that be the energy exchange between us and this idea, this concept of money with no bumpiness or resistance in between, then there's a flow. Money abundantly comes to us because our nature, like we were talking about in the beginning, our divine design is to be abundant. And that means in all aspects, abundant in freedom, abundant in success, abundant in well-being, abundant in time, money freedom, abundant in patience, abundant in love. That's our nature. So money is no different.
Yeah, no, that was not. So again, and so beautifully and thoughtfully described. But by the way, just one of the things you've covered, I want to share here too, that is so important, is that, you know, as where we're doing this loving work or light work, like it's a million times more powerful than just walking around in the darkness, which is why you as viewers, you know, why this is so important, what we're talking about. When we talk about making conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040, 18 years from now, you can see, now we can see how it's done, you know, where just there's some reasonable percentage all over the world that really lives into our divine design. You know, we're there. There's you lift so many people up living this way. Now, coming back to kind of money and the individual and what you were just talking about, Christy, I love too this whole. Sometimes this is called this law of resonance. You know, when this whole law of attraction. I think by many is misunderstood as just, you know, really focusing on what one wants, you know, as opposed to what one is, what we're feeling into, what we're experiencing, you know, and then like energy in financial, in all relationship, in all parts of our life finds us. You do such a beautiful job of explaining that. It's not what we want, it's who we are that we attract. It's our vibration that attracts vibration, right? So on every level, money, relation, everything.
Everything. Nothing is excluded. It's a vibrational universe. And so, you know, most people, and, you know, I was that way too when I was first practicing and learning about law of attraction about 28 years ago, is that, oh, okay, if I just think these thoughts, then I'm going to get this stuff. And from a very elementary perspective, yeah, that worked, right? So if I just think positive thoughts and have positive affirmations, then I'll get these positive things. And that worked to a certain point. And then there's like, okay, now you got to graduate to first grade and to second grade. And, you know, the kind of, if we're doing the school analogy, you know, the math that you learned in kindergarten is very different than you learn in fifth grade, right? There's an evolution. It gets more complicated as you go. And so I would bump into, well, wait a minute, it worked before. I would just have to change my thoughts. And, you know, I would do these affirmations and things would manifest. Now I'm changing my thoughts and that's not working anymore because now it's time to grow in consciousness. So it's not just about the thoughts. I had to then clear the emotions, because even if I was thinking positive thoughts, if I'm still feeling resentful or I'm feeling angry or I'm disappointed, and that's the vibration that's kind of underneath the surface, I could think all the positive thoughts in the world. The stronger vibration that I'm giving out is of disappointment, anger, frustration, hurt, whatever it is. And then that is the vibration that goes out, so that now I'm frustrated. Why do I keep getting frustrated? Right? What's the, I don't really like to say the lesson in it, because the council says it's always a gift, right? The council says that most of us didn't enjoy the process of school. So the thought that we're in a school and learning lessons, right, doesn't feel good to a lot of people. But it's like, what's the gift? So just the other day, I had, you know, several different people in my life very close to me. I felt very dismissed, right? My husband, who is not dismissive at all, he's very conscious, very loving. I felt very dismissed from him. And then a really good friend of mine. And it's like, okay, so there's surround sound. I'm having a reflection back to me of two people that are in my play, right? And my universe that are showing me that I'm feeling dismissive. So am I dismissing myself? Am I being dismissive to others? Because you have to go deeper in that. It's all energy. If I am attracting anything in my experience, whether I like it or I don't, that's for me to take responsibility, because I am the creator of my life experience. Nothing is asserted on us. Sometimes it feels like it is. I could go, why is he acting? Why is he dismissing me like that? Why is he being like that? He needs to change in order for me to be happy. Wait a minute. In order for him to change, in order for me to not have him be dismissive, what's going on within myself? And I always have to check with myself. How am I being dismissive of myself? Am I just ignoring myself and ignoring my own emotions? No, I feel pretty in touch with that. Have I maybe dismissed somebody else? Because we don't think about that other side of the coin, right? Maybe I'm being dismissed, but who did I dismiss? Right? It's kind of like, I had a mentor years ago that say, just like me, JLM, right? If I'm feeling that in my own beingness, I've also had that experience. I've done that to somebody else, and that's for me to clear up that energy. Some call that karma within my own self. But if I'm feeling it within me, that's within me. If I'm seeing it from people that I care about in my own outer reality, I'm the biggest part of this equation. If my money all of a sudden starts to shrink, or there's a lot of bills that come, or there's, things unexpected, right? It's not that the universe is punishing me, or that I've lost my ability to create success or abundance. There's something within me. There's some kind of resistance in me in my relationship with money. That's all in me. And I think that's exciting, Steve, because if we all can take responsibility like that and have help, I mean, certainly the council is one that helps people see where the blocks and the imprints and that sort of thing. And I'm grateful I have direct access. And that's just it, is that we all have the ability to have that direct guidance and that direct access to go, okay, I'm being dismissed here. What am I not seeing? What am I not conscious of that I need to become conscious of, so that I don't continue to attract being dismissed by important people? Right? So there's different tools and different techniques and different processes, to be able, we're living in a time where there's so much resources available. But that's the premise, is that if you're looking at a screen of your life, we're the projector, right? The light is always there coming through the projector. What's being projected? Is it a horror movie or is it a romantic comedy? If we don't like the movie, we got to change the film.
Right. Yeah, and thank you for being so personal here, Christy, and bringing this in, of a few days ago and this experience, and then sharing how it's really, a projection, which we can see, right, even with our kids, with our friends, with ourselves, with media, where one side is saying, oh, and they're, and just just this projection thing all over the place. So, but such a beautiful example of kind of how it works and how to bring it back to ourselves. And as you say, there's so much power in this, where we realize we are never, ever a victim. We're offspring of the divine. The divine actually lives in all of us. You are God's daughter or God's son, bam, in the flesh, with all of what that means. Yeah. That's this divine design that Christy's talking about, where we can live into that, and then catch ourselves when, projection's going on or something, and get back into balance. Hooray, then we live this life that we all want to live. And when we do it together, then we live consciously, and we just bend the whole collective path, and I'll just share a little bit about Humanity's Team very briefly. And then Christy she's brought in this, the council, who she hosts or channels. And if there's still time, and I'm not sure if there is, but we could just do something short with her. She's got to leave at 10 minutes to the hour, so we don't have a bunch more time. So a few things about Humanity's Team before I come back around to Christy. So we are a nonprofit. We're a 501c3 we were called to create this Humanity Stream platform. It's a revolutionary conscious streaming platform to any device, anywhere in the world. We're translating it to all major languages. We're just bringing the price down, because education creates social change. And in this case, social change is conscious living, where I was talking to Christy before we came onto the program. The mountaintop is what we call conscious living, which you could also call oneness or unity consciousness or divine design. There are lots of words for the mountaintop. And then there are thousands of paths to take us to the mountaintop. Christy has developed truly amazing thought leadership, luminary paths to the mountaintop. I'm sure you're getting that just watching her and listening to her during this program. So, and then other, dear friends, Neil Donald Walsh and Michael Beckwith, Deborah Poneman, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, all of these are here. And the price is $399 a year. So that's about the price of one single masterclass for hundreds of programs and then being part of the community, et cetera. So we created an initiative with Neil Donald Walsh and the Conversations with God Foundation called Changing Humanity's Future. And it's about, in 18 years, making conscious living, the thing, pervasive worldwide, where all of what Christy is sharing, this divine design, where we understand how life works. Most of us didn't grow up this way. Even Waldorf School doesn't teach this, right? So we're out then with partners like Christy that are sharing how conscious living works. We were actually designed to live consciously and fruitfully and in prosperity and so on. Christy's putting such beautiful words and wisdom to this. So join with us if you like the idea. Bring this into your home. Bring it into your workplace. Help us bring it into the world. Let's make conscious living pervasive worldwide. So Christy, I don't know, is there time to do something with the council? This is where, and she's kind of.
It would need to be really quick. So
Okay.
I can definitely go get them, and I'm always happy to come back another time and have them just absolutely channeled to give more. But let me go get them real quick.
Okay. Going to do something quick. It takes a minute to kind of transition into the council. So you're going to now feel this is higher wisdom at a much higher vibration level of love and wisdom than resides on the earth. That's what the council is. That's what these beings of light are. So you're going to experience that.
We are here. We are.
Oh, wonderful.
We are here. Hello, dear one. How are you?
Wonderful. And thank you for being with us, council. Thank you. And
we are always happy to be invited to the party.
Yes, well, and Christy's been sharing kind of how this all works. And conscious living, we can do this, can't we? Individually and collectively, it's our invitation, isn't it?
Well, it is what you all came here to do. It is your divine design. You are not here just merely to survive. You are here to thrive. You are here to know who you are. Many of you are familiar with Jesus and Jesus Christ, and he was one of the human beings that understood from a deep cellular level who he was, and that he was, in fact, divinely designed for everything you just talked about with Christy, for well-being and for abundance and success and for loving and supportive relationships. He also knew he was the child of God, but it was not just him. He was leading by example. He did not want to be praised in that way. He wanted to teach that each of you has the ability to create your own reality. Each of you has the ability to know from a very high conscious level who you are and the power that you have. Each one of you now in this day and age is here in your physical bodies. And it matters not what your history has been or where you have been. It's an awakening that can happen to anyone at any time, no matter what age. And that is to understand that you do all create your experience. And your experience is all predicated on your consciousness. So if you are feeling stress or if you're feeling anxiety, which, by the way, is just an over amplification of emotions that have not been expressed, the lower level emotions like worry or fear, these energies build in you and then they create a form, an experience. And if you can, like Christy was saying, this is a contrasting experience I do not much enjoy. I do not want to continue having someone dismiss me, or I do not want to continue feeling this level of disappointment or this level of fear, then that is all within you. Instead of going outside of yourself and trying to get someone to be how you want them to be, or to finally make the kind of money you want to make, or have your career get to where it's all outer. Come to a place where you can have influence on what you have. That's all the time, 24/7. You never have to go to the store and buy it. Nobody can take it from you. And it is pure energy. It is mastering your energy. And as you learn how to practically master your energy and call upon the team, each of you has a stadium of light beings that are here to guide you on your physical experience. You know, none of you are here for eternity. All of you understand that you are going to have an expiration date. Well, while you're here in this journey, on this ride, you have a team. And these guides, these masters, these great ones, these beings of light are all here to support each of you. Why? So that you can experience the joy of creating. You are the physical extension of non-physical. And you were deliberately partnered together. You were thought of just like you think of a creation that you want, whether it be a parking spot or the love of your life, and you think about it, you conjure it up, and then it forms. You were and always will be adored and infinitely loved. You were deliberately created by the One. You are an extension, like the sun has rays of light. You are a ray of the One. And if you can all learn how to master your own energy, your own minds, your own emotions, your own physical bodies, and align, you too will feel good and to thrive. Now, we know we've got to exit stage left because there's something we need to also be doing. But we are grateful for the visit and sending all of you tremendous, infinite amounts of light and love. Be well, dear one.
Thank you. Gosh, this is the council, Christy Whitman, and the council. And Christy does need to leave in about a minute. Boy, thank you so much. Wow, that was fabulous, Christy. Yeah, thank you for bringing the channel, the council in here during this program. You know, truly, what the council sharing your own sharing, you know, candidly as well during this 50 minutes. Wow, you know, you just so dialed in, just pointing straight north. Hey, this is it. This is how it works. Fantastic. Yeah. Really need to. I'm realizing we need to be working more closely with you here. We're working closely already, but you just, you know, you're articulating it so thoughtfully and rigorously. It's really, really very profound. Thank you. So I know you need to run, Steve. Christy. We'll be back in touch with you soon. So viewers, perfect. I'm going to stay with you here for a little bit. We'll see you soon here, Christy. Bye. Thank you. Okay, love to you and your family. All right. So, boy, that was a treat. I know you all enjoyed that as much as I did. Wow, Christy Whitman, and so full of wisdom and, you know, in terms of hacking life. How does life work? Wow, and the invitation here where we really deeply understand that you are the daughter or the son of God, in the flesh, and where we really live into that divine design, aligning with the divine, with our own design. How powerfully and beautifully and fruitfully we can live. And then where we do that together, voila, we've got this whole planet that all of a sudden has found its way. So, and that is what Humanities Team is, a 501c3 nonprofit. That's what we're about. We're about this, about living into the fullness of our own invitation in life, our own destiny, and having the planet find its way where we U-turn out of the dysfunction, the darkness that's here now, back into the light. And it's such a simple process. It's literally right under our nose. It's this wisdom that we've been talking about here for the 50 minutes, where we just live into the fullness of who we are, and then we can end this hand-wringing. Because things like the Ukraine war, things like not stewarding our planet well, things like people not having enough to live well, to have a roof over their head. These problems go away because we understand that that we're all one. That each person is a part of who we are. The planet is a part of who we are. Animal life and plant life. This wisdom from the other side, the council, God, Jesus, ascended masters, angels, archangels, that we're all actually a part of this one presence. And where we live into it, even, some relatively small percentage of us, as Christy mentions, this wisdom coming from the council, that we're over 1 million times more powerful in this conscious state than we are where we're walking around in this dark, unconscious state. So this means that it doesn't take that large a percentage to really light up the entire planet, the entire population of the world, where we're living into this beautiful place, because other people are feeling our energy is what's happening. They're feeling this divine design. They're feeling this prosperity, this light, all of these things. And then it spreads. There's a contagion to it. And then voila, here by 2040, we're living in this whole new way. And this hand-wringing that's in today's world of, oh my gosh, all these things going on, it's so challenging. It all of a sudden, we've healed it. There's remedy. There's alchemy, that takes us to the other side. We're journeying from the darkness into the light. So I invite you all here, as we're coming into the end of this program, Google Changing Humanity's Future, okay? Or just go to changinghumanitiesfuture.org. Google it. Go read about this initiative. So Humanities Team, Neil Donald Walsh, the Conversations with God Foundation. 2 months ago, we announced this initiative that we're giving it all to. It's an 18-year drive to make conscious living pervasive worldwide. And this wisdom from the Conversations with God books, it's a 9-book series. It's distilled down into this initiative where, as you may know, the Conversations with God books align beautifully with the wisdom that Christy just shared, this divine design. In the 9 books, this is discussed. And of course, God shares my role is to empower you, the viewer, each person, all of humanity and all of life in the cosmos, in the universe. It's to empower life. And life here on this planet has been knocking so loudly on God or the divine's door of, what can we do? How can we create a future for our kids and our kids' kids? That God in these books shares, okay, I hear your prayer. So let me just share a simple vision for where you are and where you're going to create this life that works beautifully for you and your kids and kids' kids. And let me give you some simple steps that you can follow. So all of that is distilled down to this Changing Humanity's Future page. You'll see the vision that's laid out, where God says this is what you're pointed at. This is where you're going. And even says, this is where you are now, which, one of the quotes is that the hardest part of the journey is behind you, which might come as a surprise. I'm not sure everybody's feeling into that, but that's what's shared. The hardest part of the journey is behind you. So keep going. Keep living into who you really are, into your divine design. Keep pointing, stepping into this future where you're becoming more and more and more conscious. Share with people, honestly, about your journey, your process, what's working, where you're finding mastery, and where you're challenged, where it's not working very well. Let's all be honest about our journey. This is some of the wisdom that's shared on the site. I'll just share one other thing: to follow our impulse of the soul in every moment. So this is where we were sharing on this program with Christy, how years ago when Christy graduated from college, and I did, she went in a marketing direction. I went in a sales direction, and where it was all about just getting top line growth and bottom line growth, how we U-turned into this whole conscious way of living, and where we left this whole mental, emotional world, this left brain world. It was all about checklists that was really just financial in nature, to this divine design where we're aligning with the divine, who we really are, living into this loving presence, into peace and all of its properties, into trust, into the boomerang effect. Christy doesn't use that terminology, but I do, where we're just, when we're aligned with the divine or living into this divine design and really serving the humanity and the world, what happens is we're blessing. So we're blessing the world, we're blessing this part of the one, and then the universe always turns around and blesses us back. I call that the boomerang effect. This is where then all of these, the wealth dimensions, the financial dimensions come in, and all of a sudden you end up in the house that you want, with the family that you want, enjoying the vacations that you want. So these are all, this is where we're following our soul's calling, the impulse of our soul, where we're really living into what we're being called to, as opposed to just the left brain side, where we're just wanting to step into, an American dream thing that, which I've lived, because I came from Silicon Valley, and I'll call it a sugar high. When you go and get a Slurpee that's full of all this sugar, and your brain is you get a brain freeze, and there's sort of this sugar high, and then you'll come down, maybe 30 minutes later. That's what the American dream is. It's a sugar high, where it all feels really cool. Your mind is racing for however long it lasts, and then you come down off of it, and you realize it was just a mirage. So, whereas when we're living into our soul's calling, into this divine design, then all of these beautiful things manifest in our world, which is what we have here in Humanities Team with my partners and colleagues, as we've created all of these incredible masterclasses right now, partnering with universal beings. Christy and I didn't get to that during the program, but there's a free program. In fact, on Saturday, Suzanne Giesman, who you may know, also Patricia Cota-Robles, they worked with Humanities Team to create a whole new program. It's a free program called Partnering with Universal Beings. So it's getting at these kinds of things we were talking about, the council that Christy works for, where we partner with these universal beings and bring them into our life with their wisdom and their support and guidance and so on. So I invite you to check that out. Register for this program called Partnering with Universal Beings. We're going to be on live with Suzanne Giesman on Saturday between 9 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. That's 12 noon. It starts at 12 noon Eastern time on Saturday. So join us. Okay, we're out of time. So let me just, I want to thank Christy Whitman, who was my special guest today. I want to thank my team, my partners and colleagues. We're going to pull the camera back. I'm here with Jim Gray in our studio in Boulder, Colorado. So you can see there's Jim over there, Steve right here. This is our studio. Thank you, Jim. Been a challenging day for Jim. Facebook's been a little temperamental here. It's a challenge doing live programs. So thank you, Jim. Also, I want to thank Karen Gordon, Dee Meyer, Garth Catterall, Nanette Kennedy, Timothy, Noah. So my partners and colleagues that make these programs possible. Huge thank you. And then next week, I'm going to be back with Patricia Cota-Robles. And then we've got other really incredible guests, Neil Donald Walsh, coming back on the air with me next week and weeks after. Thank you for joining us. And I look forward to being with you next week, everybody. Peace and love and blessings. Have a great week.